Hi, this is Steve Plitt, and this is Lifecycle the Coathanger. What you're seeing off the top is my old dresser. We took that back of that drawer out. We just basically kicked it out to get the camera in there for the opening shot. That dresser was never the same after that. I don't know where it is now. These titles were basically generated, the electronic titles. Most of them were actually done as a actual printed out image.
In our daily life,
Here's Barry Green, the handsome and talented actor. He's been in a bunch of things since then, and for some reason the makeup girl decided that she wanted him to be older looking, so she added gray in the hair and some crow's feet on his eyes, which I think is fine, but he was younger and browner hair then. He since looks a little bit more like this now, since it's been so many years. We shot this originally in 1991. This is the lab sequence. This was shot actually in a veterinary clinic. Barry was heroic here for this sequence and the one at the end, the bookend to this. Memorized the whole thing in about 10 minutes, no prompter, no nothing like that, and just did a really good job at the veterinary clinic. There's the dresser again. The idea for this came from a conversation I had in a pub about what happens to socks. Where does that other sock go? Why are there always so many mismatched socks in the drawer? And somebody says, well, they hatch out into coat hangers and wind up in your closet. Ah, a short film. Here you can see there's a jacket in the back that was supposed to fall off the coat hanger, so we had somebody lying on the floor to pull it. It always looks a little fakey to me, but there you go. Got to have something going on in the background. So now we start with the beginning of the life cycle, the coat hanger clip. And here we are in this basement. We added that duct, you can see there, the round one. The square one was there, but the round one, we wanted to add a little bit more dimension to the basement. And here we took the round one down and we shot down inside it. We were sitting on a couple of sawhorses for this shot. For some reason they used really blue light. I wish they wouldn't have. It's a little bit unclear what you're seeing there, but it was a nice focus rack. It would have probably been clearer if we scanned the film again, because this is all dubbed down to Betacam, which is losing some of its quality. That hand, by the way, reaching in to grab the coat hanger clip was not the little boy's hand. It was, I think, our wardrobe girl or something. These kids are probably fully grown now. My goodness, time goes by. And we had the crew bending a whole bunch of coat hanger clips or clips, paper clips, just to throw them in the garbage and make it look like this has been going on for a while. Clink. Here's Barry in the basement. I guess I'll take this opportunity while he's talking about migrating to dresser drawers. To say that we shot this on 16mm because we wanted this look like it was from, one of those old high school 16mm documentaries loaded onto an old Bell and Howell projector that kind of went. I tried to make the music actually do that, but back then I could do it now, but the technology back then didn't allow me to do that. Here we are again in the veterinary clinic, just another side of the veterinary clinic. One thing that happened here in the veterinary clinic was that we had it booked for like pretty much the whole day, and we were just going to shoot in the afternoon. But Fluffy the cat ate a piece of string and it got tangled up in her intestine. And so there was an emergency, and we actually had to shoot this whole thing that we planned over about 6 hours. We had to finish up in 2 hours. So you'll see that I didn't get a lot of coverage like I wanted. It's all done in master shots. So we didn't get any detail of what's going on in the drawer there. Also, I wanted to have on the TV, which is coming up behind him there, sort of globs of lava lamps, so indistinguished stuff. I was going to put a camera sideways on a lava lamp so that these globs were flowing side to side. For some reason that didn't happen. Oh, by the way, that camera in the drawer is actually from an old teleprompter, one that you put paper under and feed it through. It's very old school. But anyway, we didn't have the lava lamp, and so we just put white noise on the TV so that you can't tell what's going on. Here we go. You really had to crank up the contrast to get that to look like that on the TV monitor. But it gets the point across, right? You can't see anything. Also, it has the added advantage of when you're working with film, there's no real frame rate there, so a TV set would tend to flicker quite badly when you're shooting it with film at 24 frames per second, because a TV is 30 frames per second. So there's just a bunch of noise and it doesn't look like anything. It's not a problem. You can kind of see it flickering a bit there, but it's not a significant problem. So I asked Barry if he had something that looked like it belonged in the Wild Kingdom or something for a shirt, and so he brought that sort of beige one out. I didn't quite go as far as a pith helmet, but that would have been fun. And in that shot you can actually see the crow's feet latex makeup that they used pretty obviously. I shot all this stuff myself in the back room of the place where I worked. This was a tailgate production. I borrowed a bunch of equipment out of the place I was working at the time. I'm not working there anymore. But, you know, we had a good collection of gear to work with. For a long time, I still had those socks. I think I finally got rid of them last year. Again, really two shots here. This one and the close-up of the mom. We're running out of time. Didn't have time enough to come around and do cover on the kids. Would have been nice, but I'm trying to make it so that in future projects we allow just a little bit extra to do that kind of thing. We had a kind of a crew that was fresh out of film school, and so the setups took longer than expected, and to come around and do the other angle was tough. This decided to play the conceit that the narrator's actually inside the shot. He's not just narrating and you know, looking at the background. He's actually in the shot with the actors doing that. And you know what? Until I remounted this thing, I didn't notice the sort of scroll work on the walls there. The sort of, what is it, pattern on the wallpaper. But there it is. And the other thing that happened was the color correction was quite bad on this, because I did a one light transfer because it was cheaper. My goodness, it costs a fortune to transfer this stuff to Betacam. And it still costs a lot to transfer film to digital. But here we are, so I just tried to go with what we had, do a quick and dirty color correction on it. The Coathanger. The socks are the Coathanger larva getting drunk on water from a ditch. And here you start to hear the sound of the squeaky shoes. I looked everywhere for a sound effect of squeaky shoes, and for some reason I couldn't go out and record them. So what I did was I used a sound of a frog ribbiting. And this, he goes through, "Mom, there's a narrator on the porch," and Barry just about lost it there. He actually called cut, and he just laughed and walked off the porch because it was just so odd. It was an on-set ad-lib thing. Linda Quibble, who plays the mom, she was good to be completely oblivious of Barry, whereas the little boy Brent, he's not. This is a Steadicam shot. We actually got a Steadicam for this. It was pretty cool. Difficult to operate, my goodness. But somebody was able to manage to go in and hold that shot. We'd probably do that with a kind of a rig on a dolly, so that it, you know, like an overhanging dolly, so we could get it more precisely. But the Steadicam worked okay. There's some color correction blips on this, but whatever. So now we're going into the subspecies of coathangers, I believe. Oh no, going back behind the dryer to pupate. Again, how do you make this stuff so clear and yet look kind of natural? How do you make a mess and you can still see that it's coathangers there? So this piece is a very long piece. I think it's a minute and a quarter or something of Barry talking about this whole thing. And I was worried about the timing when he says, "And now we'll see the fully grown coathanger emerge." Maybe not. So I was worried that I was going to have to cue both the camera operator and Barry to get the timing just right. But both of them had an excellent sense of comic timing and got the thing just on the exact millisecond when it should be to be funny. And you can see behind there's actually the operating room of the veterinary clinic where Fluffy the cat was shortly after we finished production on this thing. So, of course, in the tail credits, if you watch carefully, you'll see that it's dedicated to Fluffy the cat. This film is, you know, a good dedication, I thought. So, here we go. This is the mom looking at the destroyed coat hanger. You know, man becoming the predator again. and probably the worst line I ever wrote.
It is at this time that we
And here we go.
several of the more
It's hard to get this just right because the timing has to be perfect. So I just got the camera operator to slowly pan across, and then we tried to fit the voiceover to fit. What would probably work is a series of shots of each of these different coat hangers for the different subspecies of coat hangers. I don't know whose idea it was to do 3 coat hangers in a bunch for sport or tube socks, but
common wire hanger is the
it's
adult form of the sport or tube socks,
strangely
and
appropriate.
bobby socks grow into plastic hangers.
So we're coming up close on the end. We have this final thing here.
Many years in the classroom.
The coat hangers finally hatch out in their final stage, the bicycle, the geriatric stage. And it was our grip who drove off on the bicycle in this neighborhood. We had somebody come up, and we have a truck on the street with all the equipment in it. We're filming this thing. Looks like, Wild Kingdom or something. And this guy says, "What's going on?" And I said, "Well, there's this, a lot of people don't know about how the coat hangers live and all this stuff." I was very serious about it. Turned around and walked away. And the crew said later on, they were telling me how this poor fellow just looked at me like I was insane. And walked away, bewildered, shaking his head. It's fun. You got to have fun with these things. And again, Barry pulls it off. There's these long pieces of dialogue. Now, normally I would use a teleprompter for these, but Barry was capable of memorizing these long chunks of dialogue. Oh, and we would have cleaner furnace ducting. And then we had the guys in the background staring straight at the camera because that was another ad lib on set. Somebody suggested it. So here's my drawing. The tail credits, I think these are actually keys. I printed them on a piece of paper. We did key them in and add drop shadow because all that stuff's done analog video in those days. This tail credit thing, I did not do the tail credits on film, but we could have generated them electronically, but I didn't like the look of that. So this is actually credits printed out and taped to the wall, and I took a camera and used an extreme telephoto lens and slowly tilted past them. So this is actually a camera tilting, and if you look carefully right at the end, you can see a little bit of a craziness in the bottom left corner where it kind of goes funny, and there's Fluffy the cat. And yeah, you can see on the lower left there, it's just a little glittery thing because the keying didn't work quite well. That's it for Lifecycle, a coat hanger. Thanks for watching and listening. My name is Steve Plitt for Hard Drive 13.